We've got a bigger picture. 8 members of the OPEC group, led by Saudi Arabia and Russia, had a virtual meeting today. The idea was to reaffirm their commitment to market stability on the back of healthier oil market outlook. The group also adjusted their production upwards by 411,000 barrels per day, and that's starting next month. Today's output increase comes 2 days after US President Donald Trump rolled out wide-ranging set of trade tariffs that get the world scrambling for response. Now, for insights into the oil market right now and what the outlook is, let's bring on Amena Bakr in Dubai. She's the head of Middle East Energy and OPEC Plus Insights at Kepler. It's great to have you again on the show tonight, madam. Thank you for your time. 10 p.m. in Dubai, 7 p.m. in Nigeria. We appreciate that.
Thank you so much. Great to have to be part of the program as always.
Thank you so much for making the time. What do you make of today's OPEC Plus group of 8 virtual meeting and their decision on that 411,000 barrels per day production adjustment, which starts next month?
I think the main motivation of that decision, as you clearly outlined, to accelerate the increments that are coming into the market starting from May, is basically to reward the countries that have been complying with their production quotas and make sure that the countries that have not been compliant really carry through with the compensation cuts. So this decision is really to preserve the unity and the cohesion within OPEC Plus. There are many theories, and I'm sure you've heard all of them, around OPEC always targeting a certain price, wanting a certain price level. But what a lot of people fail to understand is that drivers such as maintaining cohesion within the group could really influence the decision making when it comes to production policy. And we've seen it materialize in the decision that was taken this week.
Well, what about the existing 2.2 million barrels per day voluntary adjustment? That was agreed back on the 3rd of April last year, I'm sure you remember. And that's taking effect 3 days ago. Can you tie that together for me?
Yeah, sure. I mean, the idea is to return the last tranche of the voluntary cuts, which is being implemented by the 8 states that are part of OPEC Plus. And this starts in April, so it starts this month. So there's a gradual increment of around 137,000. And then in May, as you outlined, there's going to be an acceleration of adding in barrels, which is the 411 barrels per day. And then after that, the group will decide on the increments for the coming months. So there's going to be a meeting held on the 5th of May to decide the production quotas that will happen in June. And of course, I mean, the group outlined in the Secretariat statement that the usual caveat that if there are any changes to the market conditions, they could pause the increments, for example.
Okay, so if you are compensation plan, which you touched on earlier in your comments into the picture, I mean, how would OPEC Plus balance this with conformity and the much needed market stability that the OPEC is very concerned about? I'm still worried about whether OPEC is concerned about market stability in terms of supply, balancing that with demand, and at what price level is the group also comfortable with in terms of the big members, as it were, Saudi Arabia, for example?
No, we all know, I mean, it's no secret that there are break-even points when it comes to different budget from any of these OPEC Plus states. But we're at a point right now where, you know, you're having some countries within the group leak production. And that's the idea of having compensation cuts. And it's really unfair for some countries to be leaking this production while others are maintaining or sticking to their quotas. So this move really is a warning to those countries. If they continue their lack of compliance, this is what happens to prices. This is why prices, I mean, partly the reason we're seeing Brent trading at 65 is because of this added supply. So if they continue their lack of compliance, this is what happens. So I consider it as a warning shot, and let's hope this improves compliance in the future.
So do we have any idea where oil prices are going? Does anyone have any idea right now where oil prices are heading? $80 last year, 80, 85. Then we all went through 70. Now we're doing the low end of 70, as it were, 69, 67.
Yeah, it's a very, very volatile environment at the moment, and I think that it will continue being incredibly volatile. I mean, previous to the announcement of Trump's tariffs and the OPEC Plus decision to accelerate bringing in supply to the market at Kepler, we had the Brent expectation in the kind of low 70s range, $70, which I think is going to be the average, maybe perhaps for this year so far. But the environment is so volatile. So from one week to another, a lot of things change. And we still don't know how the impact of these tariffs is going to play out. We still don't know how the impact of the possibility of maximum pressure on Iran, for example, will play out. So all of these are wild cards in the market. So it's incredibly difficult to have predictions. I've seen large banks, for example, today issue statements that now they're expecting Brent to trade between 65 to 67 in the near term. But as I said, very volatile environment.
Yes, very volatile environment right now. So what do you think will happen? I think there's another meeting on April 15 with this group of 8 of OPEC Plus. So what will be the decision ahead of the May meeting? What will be the bigger meeting of OPEC, which include African oil producers like Nigeria and all that? What would that look like down in the month of May into June, as we've seen this production being talked about, additional 400,000 barrels coming on stream?
Sure. No, I mean, the next step is really on the 15th of April, as you've said. The countries that have been overproducing, they need to resubmit a compensation plan to the Secretariat. So that's one step. And I think, I mean, OPEC Plus is going to continue having a very strong hands-on approach to the market. And I mean, the members are used to having virtual meetings now. So these meetings are just a phone call away or a Zoom call away. So they'll continue monitoring the market. They will continue tweaking policy as required.
So what should oil exporting and importing countries or economies prepare for? If you look at Nigeria, for example, oil prices tanking, where does that leave oil exporting countries such as Nigeria budgeting its federal appropriations around $75 a barrel? Now we're doing 65, 67 on the London Brent.
2025 is a year of turbulence, and I think that oil-producing countries need to be prepared for that level of turbulence and adjust to that level of turbulence and uncertainties. And it really comes with also having Trump in office brings all of these uncertainties to the table. So I think governments of oil exporting states need to keep an open mind, be very flexible, and just ride the wave. And I think it's really important to maintain that cohesion within the OPEC Plus group, to make sure that OPEC Plus is credible in the market, to make sure that OPEC Plus sticks together, because this is a really effective market management tool that keeps supply and demand in check. So having the unity within the group is incredibly important, and African states, of course, play a part in that.
Yes, so President Trump has asked OPEC to lower oil prices. Is this what President Trump was looking for, in a manner of speaking?
Well, we all know, I mean, President Trump always calls for lower oil prices, but I don't think he was too bothered when Brent was trading at 70. So I don't think this decision was necessarily to please Trump or influenced by Trump, because we were already, I mean, Brent was at $70, which didn't bother Trump. On the contrary, I think, I mean, they need oil prices to stay within a certain range in order for the shale industry to grow. And this is one of Trump's objective, is to grow the shale industry. So this decision in particular to bring more supply to the market doesn't have anything to do with Trump.
So at what price would crude oil be traded to make big economies and big producers such as Saudi Arabia comfortable? What's that price level? your
I
opinion?
mean, there are break-evens for budgets, but even, I mean, with Saudi Arabia, the budget works with different ranges. They don't have a certain price. They don't pinpoint a price, let's say, I don't know, $85, $90, and then target that price. Price targeting is a failed policy. Saudi Arabia knows that. Other oil producers know that. So there is no such thing as price targeting. And the last decision is really a case in point. They plan to speed up the return of these barrels, knowing that this might have or will have a bearish impact on prices, but they still did it because the bigger objective is to maintain that cohesion within the group.
Okay, so if I'm an importing oil economy right now, what should I prepare for the rest of 2025? Technically speaking, we're now heading towards the 9 months, the second quarter of the year. What should oil importers prepare for? What should they think?
I think it's an opportunity for oil importers. If oil prices are at this level or even, trade at lower levels, it's an opportunity for them to start rebuilding their strategic stocks. There's already talk that, the US is going to be filling its SPR at these levels. China might also want to build some more stock levels. Other Asian countries also might take this as an opportunity to rebuild the strategic stock. So I think it's overall could be viewed as an opportunity.
On a final note, as far as the Middle East is concerned, you touch on Iran. There are threats from President Trump about what will happen. Venezuela also in the Mr. President's crosshairs. Are there concerns there in the market as to what could happen if these threats do come to pass?
I think the market more or less is used to the idea that there's a possibility of maximum sanctions being pressed on Iran. There isn't certainty around what that means in terms of actual implementation or how much it would take off of the market in terms of supply. But at Kepler, for example, we estimate that if maximum pressure is pressed by the US on Iran, we might see their exports drop by around 500,000 barrels, which would leave more space for OPEC Plus to unwind some of these cuts. But again, I mean, this decision that was taken by the group did not put into account the maximum pressure sanctions, because this is something that is still being implemented. This is something that's uncertain, and we don't know what the final result of that will be. So again, the group is not making any decisions based on the fact that the US might press Iran harder.
Okay, and if we're able to hammer out some peace deal between Ukraine and Russia, do you see oil prices moving in a bit much lower? Is that likely to happen?
We've seen that. I mean, with any kind of talk of the peace talks and so on, we've seen oil prices did have, it's overall, I think Trump has been having a bearish impact on prices, and it mainly becomes, I mean, more relevant whenever he brings up the talk of tariffs. So yes, yeah, I think it would bring a bearish impact on prices.
All right, greater industry insights from you as always. Amena Bakr, Head Middle East Energy and OPEC Plus Insights at Kepler. Thank you. Have a great weekend, madam. We appreciate that as always.